Welcome to Lesson 6 on concentrations of solutions. Our lesson objectives: calculate the percent composition, calculate parts per million of a solution, as well as the molarity of a solution. When we talk about solutions, we have to talk about concentration. Concentration is the amount of solute dissolved in a solution. And so if we dissolve a little bit of solute in solution, we call that a dilute solution, or the concentration is dilute. And if we dissolve a lot of solute in solution, we say it's concentrated. So for example, if you're making iced tea using the iced tea mix, if we're adding just a little bit of the iced tea mix and it's not really sweet, we would say that's dilute. It has a little bit of our solute, our iced tea mix, in our solution. And if we add a lot of iced tea mix, we say it's concentrated, it's very sweet. So we added a lot of solute in our solution. And so we have a bunch of formulas on table T that we can use to determine the concentration of various solutions. So the first one is the percent composition formula located on table T, and it says percent composition by mass equals the mass of the part. This is going to be our solute, and I would write that down in your notes, and it's over the mass of the whole thing, which is going to be our resulting solution. Again, write that down, and then times 100 because it's a percent. So let's see an example of the percent composition formula. What is the percent by mass of glucose if 2.8 grams of glucose is dissolved in 100 grams of solution? And so again, our formula is percent composition by mass equals the mass of the part over the whole, or the solute over the solution. And so the part, what we're dissolving, our solute, is 2.8 grams of glucose. That's going to go on top. And then we're going to divide that by the mass of our solution, which is going to be 100 grams. And of course, it's percent composition, so don't forget to times by 100 to get it into percent. And we get an answer of 2.8% glucose. So that means 2.8% of our solution is glucose by mass. Let's check your understanding. Can you calculate the percent composition? Our next formula is called parts per million, or ppm for short. And it's very similar to the percent composition formula, where we have the mass of the part, meaning the solute, over the mass of the whole thing, the solution. But the difference is we're going to multiply it by 1 million instead of 100 as we did in the percent composition. So this formula, the reason why we use this versus percent composition is that this is used when we have very dilute concentrations, so only a small amount of solute in solution. And so we don't want to work with a really small number, so that's why we multiply it by 1 million. So let's see an example of the parts per million formula in action. So a sample of water is found to contain 0.010 grams of lead in 15 grams of solution. What is the concentration in parts per million? So they ask you to solve it in parts per million. That's how you know to use that formula. But if they didn't ask you that, or tell you that, you can see that we're using a very, very small amount of solute in our solution. And so let's see how we use this formula. So it's the mass of the solute, what we're dissolving in our solution. That's the 0.010 grams of lead. And we're going to divide that by the mass of the solution, which is the 15 grams of solution as indicated in our question. And so 0.010 grams divided by 15 grams, and now we're going to times it by 1 million, and make sure you count out your zeros, it has 6 zeros here, equals 670 parts per million. So let's check your understanding. Can you calculate the parts per million of a solution? The last formula we're going to use for calculating the concentration of a solution is called the molarity formula. And this is molarity equals the moles of the solute over the liters of solution. And so let's see an example of that. A solution has a volume of 2.5 liters and contains 0.70 moles of sodium chloride. What is the molarity? So molarity is indicated by big M, and it's equal to the moles of the solute. So what we are dissolving, this is the 0.70 moles of sodium chloride that goes on the top. And we're going to divide that by the liters of solution, which is 2.5 liters. And so 0.70 divided by 2.5 equals 0.28 molar solution. So we this big M is molarity. So when we say our concentration, we say 0.28 molar solution. So the bigger this big M, the bigger the molarity, the more concentrated the solution is, meaning the more solute dissolved in our solution. So for these problems, you just have to watch the units. Sometimes they won't give you moles, they'll give you grams. And so you have to use our mole calculation to convert grams to moles. Or they may give you the solution in milliliters, which means you have to convert that to liters. So those are examples of how this type of question could be asked. So let's check your understanding. Can you calculate the molarity of a solution? At this point, you should be able to calculate the percent composition, calculate the parts per million of a solution, as well as the molarity of a solution.